Alright, I'm about to show y'all how to air fry some lemon pepper chicken. Alright, just soak this. I rinsed it, soaked it in lemon juice, apple cider vinegar, and lime. So I just got that off there. So these are the seasonings we're using right here. You know, we're gonna make it real simple. What we're gonna do is we're gonna get some of that lemon pepper, put it all over there. Bang. Bang. We're gonna get some sea salt. Sea salt. It's real simple to make too. Bang. Get some garlic. Bang. Give it a nice coat. Bang. Get some rosemary. This is gonna taste just like a rotisserie chicken. I made it the other night, but it's gonna be like little wing dings though. Then you gotta get some paprika for that extra spice. Just woke up, I'm about to start working out real quick. Gotta keep my daily ordinance. Doesn't the sun rise in the morning? Doesn't the moon come out and wane at night? You know, that's a sure thing, right? Don't the seasons change every 90 days, 3 months, into 4 quarters of the year? That's guaranteed, right? Keep his ordinance. So the same with us. We have to be consistent at keeping our own pattern, uplift our own vibration and frequency, because the more we are consistent at something, the more it is acknowledged with nature. And that's how you pair with nature, by being consistent and keeping the ordinance. It's just like the angels. The angels are angels of light, you know, of enlightenment. They keep their daily ordinance. The only ones that didn't keep their daily ordinance are the ones that fall. They fell from grace to a lower vibrational frequency. So therefore, you know, they are out of balance and they are not in equilibrium. You know, they're not vibing the way as they were created to. So as us being the authors of our own books and our own destiny through cause and effect, us having this free will, you know, to make these decisions, you know, we are all good and we are all bad. But the key to everything is balance. It doesn't matter what religion you believe in, you know, what spiritual practices you follow. There's positive and there's negative in everything. It's called duality. So, you know, for a person to believe one thing and think that their thing is better than the other, that's not how it works. God is the generator, operator, and destroyer, you know? So at the end of the day, being fruitful and multiplying upon the face of the earth, that means creating new life. Operator is the ones that are created in the image, the vessel, the host, the embodiment. You're the operator of the free will. You know, that's why, you know, the book of John says, isn't it written in your law that ye are gods and children of the Most High? Just as it says in Psalms 82, ye are all gods and children of the Most High. But it also says that you will die like mere men because you are an embodiment of your creator. God is a frequency. It is an energy. In the beginning was the word, you know? Like I say, words have vibration. They have power, you know? That's why, biblically speaking, it says there's life and death in the power of the tongue. That's why the throat chakra, which is blue, it deals with communications, which can correlate with wrath or kindness, because it's also a duality. Because you can uplift somebody with words by speaking life into them, or you can, you know, disintegrate, downgrade them with words, you know, degrade them by speaking lower vibratory things into them, or, you know, just speaking ignorance into existence. And guess what? You can change the dynamic of somebody's day. It goes both ways. That is duality. And destroyer, you know, you have God, generator, operator, destroyer. Destroyer, you know, you can destroy enemies, parasites, you know. Parasites are microorganisms, you know, that attach to a host, you know, which are known as free radicals, which create diseases. That's why when the Messiah was casting demons out, the demons, you know, you normally got to know a demon by a name, you know. because they're dirty and they're discouraging, they're degrading, they're death, they're destruction. That's their job. It's free radicals. They're to latch on to live, living cells and make them defected tissues. Defected tissues, demons. Demon is something that defects the tissue or the live cell. That's why when the Messiah cast those demons out into the pig, he asked them what was their name. They said legions, because we are many. They become free radicals. That's why you have to contain them. And that's just a metaphor. The gut is the lower part. That would be considered hell. Heaven is the head, which is Malkuth, which means the kingdom. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven, because which, religiously speaking, what people would call a rapture is actually ascension. You coming from a low vibratory state, being in that marketplace, or being in the valley of the dry bones, and as a walking corpse. You're alive in the body, but your spirit is dead. It's at that low vibratory. You don't believe in nothing. That's why it says, when you perform miracles or you do some type of good, the Jesus or the Messiah, however you want to say his name, he always said thank you 3 times. And you literally, it says faith without works is dead, but you also have to believe on something. You have to believe. Before it was Christianity, Islam, or any organized religion, there was a thing called Gnosticism. Gnosticism was people that were just spiritually in tune with nature. When you're in tune with nature, nature provides, nature nourishes. Because guess what? You're walking by faith and not by sight. No one is showing you anything. Now you just have your intuitive nature. Your spirit is talking to you. You are listening to your spirit, just like your body tells you when it is getting sick or something is wrong. Eventually it tells you intuitively, because intuitively is within, and within is eternal. Eternal is where God resides, because God is experiencing himself in multiple different factions and people all at the same time in this experience you call life. That's why the ultimate goal is to be in harmony with nature and with each other. That's why I say when 2 or more are gathered in the spirit, the Most High Spirit is present, because the Most High Spirit is already within you. You get what I'm saying? So that's how you have to look at it. We have to be in harmony. The biggest gift to receive in this world is receiving with the purpose of sharing with others and not for self alone. Anybody that has these selfish tendencies or this spirit, or they always think about themselves or what they can get in that particular moment, because it benefits them for their momentary pleasure, guess what? And they don't put that same energy back out into the universe, guess what? It causes a chain reaction of cause and effect, and eventually they slowly decline and they get misfortune, and they're always wondering why is this happening to me at this time? That means you have to reevaluate your life. There's a thing called cycles. Everything has a cycle, season, and eventually there's a thing that will happen that's called a karmatic bonus, karma, and it's a bonus on top of karma, natural karma. Karma is what you consider, it could be judgment or salvation. Karma is duality as well, It's good and it's bad, Everything is good and it's bad, Everything is light and it's darkness, That's why in the beginning was the word, the sound vibrational frequency, and then it said the Most High Spirit was upon the deep, the waters. Water has a spirit. Everything has a spirit. Out of darkness came light. It was darkness before there was even light, because light lives within darkness. Light can't exist without darkness. You get what I'm saying? So you have to go through some things to know some things. There's no such thing as judgment without salvation. There's no salvation without judgment, put it that way, because you will not see salvation if you don't go through a dark phase to where as though you realize you overcoming it or going through this experience, which will give you these experiments, which gives you experience. You learn through trial and error. So salvation wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the dark times of judgment. So you have to take both of them, you know. A lot of people in their spiritual beliefs, they want to think good. Oh, turn out the cheek, look the other way, act like this don't exist, sweep it under the rug, everything blessed in Jesus' name, it's going to be good. That's not how it works, you know. That is the most watered down Kool-Aid version of spirituality. But that's what happens when you fall into the hands of the traditions of men and you get organized religion, which biblically speaking would say you are worshiping the creature more than the creator, you know. There's so many things that the Bible says not to do, but everybody does the opposite, you know. People follow every holiday instead of the holy days. People will give to Santa when you rearrange the words, which is Satan, and, you know, celebrate Christmas, you know, and say that's the Messiah's birthday, but nowhere in the Bible it says that. They will celebrate eggs and Easter bunny rabbits where it has nothing to do with the resurrection, you know. They put all these spins on these narratives, but people will judge everybody else because say that, oh, you ain't part of my religion. It's like gang banging, you know, you ain't part of my gang or my sector or my cult, or even if we is part of the same gang and we following another denomination, you know, Methodist or Pentecost, Evangelist, my sector is better than your sector, you know. You see how that works? If Satan's job was to deceive the whole world, how would you best do that? Divide and conquer. But back to what we're doing right here with this. We're going to mix this all up real good. We're going to get it real nice. Then the key, we're going to put butter on this. We're going to put this in the air fryer. You know, it's already got that lemon in there. Well, the key is to get that flavor all in there, you know. You see how I like to multitask? I can give you a spiritual sermon that will come right off the top, will activate in my spirit, but at the same time show you how to do something else. You know, it's called a 2-for-1. And I'm good at that, you know. I'm always giving. It ain't got to always be physically giving things, but, you know, to pass on knowledge, wisdom, and understanding and things I've learned over time. You know, a couple years ago, people were telling me I was crazy, you know, looking down upon me. But I knew I was on to something. I felt it in my spirit just because I was a couple steps ahead and they were so far beyond, you know. People will always demonize what they can't comprehend or understand, you know. They did it to the Messiah as well, you know. Just because he came with a new way, new truth, and a new light that they wasn't used to, his own people, Pharisees, Sadducees, they all murdered him. And people are still doing that today. When it's something that goes against their norm or something that's said that, you know, triggers them because they want to be so perfect and high and mighty. You never want to be perfect, high and mighty, holier than thou, or sanctified, because guess what? You start getting that programming mindset and ideology to where as though you get these impressions and ideas in your head, you know, whereas though you think you can judge other people or you are better than somebody. That's the worst thing you could do. Or never give a person a time of day to tell their side of the story or bring something new to you. You're not open to nothing new. You're stuck inside of a box, a square. That's what you call a square. Someone that's stuck inside of the box, they do not want to go outside of the box or the norm of something of what they was taught because they was programmed to be that way. That's just like a robot or a computer, you know, taking on its own form, kind of like what AI is doing right now, you know. I know y'all seen the movie I, Robots, but that's eventually what's going to happen, you know. You know, they say you create this technology. We was created in our image, and now we creating things in our image, you know, and we're programming it a certain way to be a certain way, to be stuck at that way. So these things we creating are not sentient, but once you put emotion to it, eventually these things will become sentient and they will work together on a collective consciousness of their own, you know. Now we're going to spread these out evenly the best we can. on. Alright, that's gonna be alright. Put a little bit of more. Alright, back. Gonna get this. Get some butter. Butter cutter, shut of water. I'll show you a little something here. Alright, I got this overlaid aluminum foil. See, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put butter in between it. It's gonna taste just like rotisserie and even better. It's gonna have that nice little crisp to it. So not only is it gonna get the oils that are naturally produced from the chicken, but it's gonna have like that buttery, you know, oil flavor to it as well. It's real simple. Take this, I'm gonna stick this right in this air fryer. And that's simple. Sit it in that air fryer. Push this thing in there. Bang. It says for chicken, we're gonna do 360 for about 15 to 22 minutes. We're gonna set this on 22 minutes because once it gets halfway through, we're going to flip it. You feel me? We'll go from there. There we go. Set. Now, I'm about to go exercise. 2 for 1. It's always multitasking. I'm always doing 2 things at once. You know, become a juggler. Virgos like me, that's one of our traits, is to be a juggler. Or what some people call it, a juggernaut. Alright, I'm out. I hope this video was edifying, uplifting. You know, like, share, and subscribe, comment. I'm here for you, you know. Key is just to be consistent. I'm going to keep pressing the issue. And I'm going to keep putting pressure on everything. And I'm going to go from there. Salah so big. I'm out.